The rise of the ghost kitchen and virtual restaurants. Hi there, thanks for joining us once again for Plain English. I'm Jeff. JR is the producer, and you are listening to the best podcast for learning English. Today is episode number 208, and that means all our resources are available to you at plainenglish.com/208. Just as a reminder, the resources include a free word-for-word transcript, and Plain English Plus members have access to video lessons, translations, flashcards, and the fast version of this very episode. Coming up on today's program, food delivery is changing the restaurant landscape, and it's giving rise to a ghost kitchen. That's kitchen space that restaurants use exclusively to serve delivery customers. Sticking with our culinary theme, our phrasal verb is whip up, and we have a quote from my favorite Indian chef. You'll want to stick around until the end to hear it. Real quick, before we dive into the main content, are you part of our email program? If not, then you'll want to head to plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L, and sign up. Twice a week, JR sends out additional episode resources to thousands of your fellow listeners. The emails have a summary of the episode, links to English articles about the main topic, and an explanation of another English word or phrase. That's one more in addition to the one we talk about on the program. Make sure you get all those free resources by signing up at plainenglish.com/mail. Food delivery is booming in the United States and Europe, powered by new apps like Uber Eats, Seamless, DoorDash, Grubhub, and countless others. The restaurant industry is whipping up dinner and delivering it to consumers' doors with vigor. In the United States, delivery represents just 5% of the $800 billion+ restaurant industry's revenues, but it's growing fast while traditional restaurant revenue is stagnant. This is more than a passing fad. The apps are redefining what it even means to be a restaurant. Delivery has long been common in dense urban areas like New York City, where restaurants could afford to have a network of delivery men deliver the food on their bikes around the city. It has also been popular for certain types of food all over America, like pizza and Chinese food. But beyond those staples, food delivery had never caught on. A typical restaurant outside a dense urban area could not afford to hire delivery drivers, and consumers didn't associate quality meals with delivery. That is all changing. Sharing economy apps are doing to restaurant delivery what they have done to personal transportation, making it cheaper and more widely available. As a result, an Uber Eats driver can deliver meals from restaurants big and small, cheap and expensive, traditional and exotic, near and far. Consumers are responding, ordering more and more food to be eaten at home. The market is worth about $27 billion in the U.S. annually and is the fastest growing segment of the restaurant market. But have you ever stopped to think about what it's like from the restaurant's perspective? They now have to serve two masters, the customer in the store, looking for a good experience with quality service, and the online customer who is above all looking for speed and a meal that will look good and stay fresh during delivery. And by the way, the restaurant has to pay up to a 30% commission for the online order. Restaurants have typically tried to meet those two objectives to serve those two types of customers from the same place, their restaurant. But it doesn't always work very well. Restaurants have traditionally been designed with proportions in mind. The kitchen is big enough to serve the number of tables that are present. It doesn't make sense to over-invest in a kitchen at the expense of tables, right? But now, with the proliferation of delivery orders, those kitchens are overextended and they have a hard time serving delivery orders in a space designed only for the dining room. Second, a restaurant is designed with a front door, a host stand, and the tables toward the back. It isn't designed to accommodate lots of delivery guys coming in and picking up orders really quickly. That can be disturbing to the guests. The door is constantly opening and closing. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of non-customers crowding in that host area. Finally, many restaurants are in areas that are high traffic for pedestrians, and they have enough parking to accommodate the guests that come to the dining room. Not necessarily enough for a constant flow of delivery cars pulling up and picking up quick orders. The problem is the restaurants have treated delivery as an afterthought, as an addition to their core business. But the result is that both sets of customers don't quite get what they need. The visitors in person get a cheapened experience with crowding and lots of traffic, a noisy environment. The delivery person gets slower service because the spaces aren't designed to accommodate a lot of drivers. But what if there were a way to specialize a little bit and separate these two functions? Could you serve delivery customers from one place and in-person guests in another? Introducing the Ghost Kitchen. It's a restaurant kitchen focused exclusively on food delivery. In that kitchen, the restaurant staff focuses on speed and efficiency, with easy access for delivery drivers to pull up and get their orders quickly, while in the traditional restaurant, they focus on the service and the atmosphere. Kitchen United is one firm that has opened ghost kitchens just for delivery, one right here in Chicago and another in California. The company counts Google as one of its investors and, not surprisingly, it has ambitious expansion plans. It wants to be in 40 cities nationwide. DoorDash, which is one of the delivery firms, has opened its own ghost kitchen with 4 restaurant chains as users. Uber Eats jumped into the fray with a shared kitchen in Paris just for restaurants that use its delivery service, and Uber Eats has now expanded to other countries, including the US. In Europe, Deliveroo opened mobile kitchens that can be installed in parking lots of existing restaurants. Panda Selected serves customers in China's dense cities. This appeals to big brands and small entrepreneurs alike. National brands like Chick-fil-A, the Halal Guys, and others have high brand awareness and serve a high volume of customers. They appreciate that shared kitchens can help them serve their high volume of orders. But small entrepreneurs like it too. A single restaurateur can try a new concept without investing in a physical presence by launching an online-only restaurant. If it's successful, then he'll have the validation he needs to invest in a physical space. Uber Eats says that it has helped 4,000 such virtual restaurants around the world, half in the US and Canada, and half elsewhere. I must admit, I am only half sold on food delivery. As convenient as it is, it's expensive. Sometimes you have to pay a delivery fee. You always have to pay a tip, at least here. It's not uncommon for a single meal to add up to $35 or more. But the flip side is time. If I get home after a week in another city, I walk in the door on a Thursday night, my fridge is empty, I use the delivery apps. For me, it's once in a while, once every 2 or 3 weeks, but I know people who do it a lot. What I need to find is restaurants that specialize in making food that's good for delivery. You know, there are some meals that are good in person, but you just wouldn't want it delivered. Well, it happened again. I was writing this episode and it got longer and longer until I decided we have to split this up into 2 episodes. So on Thursday, I am going to introduce you to a fictional restaurant called Mariscos by JR, and we are going to explore how an individual restaurant could use the ghost kitchen concept. So that's a fun one that's coming up next time. Time to say hi to a few listeners. Camila from Sao Paulo says that Plain English is the best podcast she's ever heard of. That's amazing. Thanks, Camila. And Selva from Chennai, India, wrote to me on WhatsApp and sent me a test podcast in English that he produced on Anchor. And that was fun to listen to. Thanks, Selva. Today's culinary expression is to whip up. To whip up is to quickly make a meal or something to eat. I'm just going to whip up something real quick. That means you're just going to prepare something quick, usually with whatever you have in the house. We're coming up on American Thanksgiving holiday. They had theirs already in Canada, but in America on Thanksgiving, we make a huge meal with turkey and lots of side dishes. Veggies, potatoes, stuffing, sauce, lots of things on the table. You can't just whip up a Thanksgiving dinner. You need to plan it way in advance and cook the whole day. What kind of food can you whip up? You can whip up some pasta, You can whip up an omelet. You can whip up a salad. You can use whip up in a general sense. What are we going to have for dinner tonight? I don't know. You might answer, I'll whip something up. And that generally means you'll make something out of the ingredients you already have. JR is good with this. JR can whip something up in the kitchen. A couple of tomatoes, chiles, garlic, a tortilla, some type of chicken. In 20 minutes, he can whip up a good Mexican meal, no problem. Can you whip up a cake? Not really. That's too much effort. Can you whip up a sandwich? I would also say no. To whip up, I think it means you have to be mixing ingredients of some kind, and making a sandwich is just not sophisticated enough. You can't whip up a bag of chips that's already made. You have to be moving things around, making it with your hands. Wasn't there a TV show, one of those reality kitchen shows, in which the contestants have to use whatever they can find in the kitchen to make a sophisticated meal in like 20 minutes? That was a whole show based on the contestants' ability to whip something up in a short period of time. Today's quote of the week is by Vikas Khanna, a famous Indian chef and the chef at my favorite Indian restaurant outside of India itself. That would be Junoon in New York City, right near the Flatiron Building. Here's the quote. A great introduction to cultures is their cuisine. It not only reflects their evolution, but also their beliefs and traditions. Vikas Khanna has a great story. He's now the host of MasterChef India, a television show over there. And if you're a foodie, he's got a mouth-watering Instagram account, and he produced a film called The Last Color. So he's jumping from one art to another. Here's the quote again. A great introduction to cultures is their cuisine. It not only reflects their evolution, but also their beliefs and traditions. Indeed. So that brings us to the end of today's program. I mentioned before, I'm not really into the restaurant meal delivery, but I am into grocery delivery, and that's another thing that's becoming popular here. I won't do an episode on it right away, but let me know if you want to hear one about that. That's also a trend that's reshaping the economics of a big industry here in the US. And whenever you have thoughts or comments about a topic we discuss, go ahead and leave us a comment on our website. This episode's site is plainenglish.com/208. Just scroll to the bottom to leave your thoughts. If you can understand this program, then you might be ready to speed things up a little bit with Plain English Plus. As a member of Plain English Plus, you can listen to a fast version of this very program. A lot of members listen to both. They listen to the slow version first to understand the topic, then they listen to the fast version to see how it sounds at full speed. I know some of you speed up the program on your podcast player, but if you're really serious about improving your listening, there's no substitute for the full speed version. And of course, you have the transcript available, and the Plus transcripts include our instant translations into 7 languages. So what are you waiting for? If you'd like to speed things up, come join us at plainenglish.com/plus. See you next time.